Welcome back to the show, guys. It is a special day today. It is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, all of my Star Wars fans out there. I love Star Wars. It was the first movie I saw when I was a kid in the movie theater way back in the day. So I've always been a huge Star Wars fan until recently. You know, back in the day when Star Wars was released, the original trilogy, that is, it was a huge moment in history. Just took the world by storm. And I was caught up in the middle of it. I was really young at the time. So again, that was my first movie experience ever, if you can imagine that. And my mind was blown. Like literally, I walked out of the theater and for days, if not weeks, just in a haze, processing what I had seen on the big screen. It was totally amazing. Blew my mind, blew everyone's mind at the time. You know, you got to think about it. Back then, Star Wars was so ahead of its time that no one expected it to be the spectacle that it was. It was amazing, completely amazing. And the world changed after Star Wars was released. I mean, everything changed at that point. The way movies are directed, the way movies are written, the whole action genre, everything changed, and not to mention special effects. And every movie after that took cues from Star Wars. And not only the special effects and the direction, the character development was amazing. We were introduced to Luke Skywalker. We had Han Solo, who was iconic. Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, Princess Leia. We're introduced to Darth Vader as well, perhaps the most iconic villain in history. We were also introduced to the Emperor. And we'll come back to him a little later. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Return of the Jedi. So we saw the slow transformation of Luke from a boy from the desert, stumbling into Ben Kenobi. The whole confrontation was set up between he and Vader. Obi-Wan sacrificed himself. As a kid, when I saw that, I cried. I was that caught up in the movie, in the experience. And then after all is said and done, we get to the end of the story of Empire, and there's a huge lightsaber battle. Vader and Luke are going at it. They're way on top of the scaffolding that's super high in the sky. You all remember it. So they're battling it out. Luke gets injured. Vader tries to talk him into joining the dark side, and Luke says, "No, you killed my father." And Vader delivers the most iconic line ever when he says,
"No, I am your father."
Okay, so that was an interesting point in the movie. Blew my mind again. Fantastic trilogy. For a while, there was no Star Wars. The other movies tried to take its place, but no movie could ever take the place of Star Wars. Lo and behold, maybe 20 years later, we get a new Star Wars movie, The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace introduces the prequel trilogy, which tells a story before the saga that everyone's familiar with. So we go back to find out how Vader became Vader. I know at the time there were a lot of people complaining about too much CGI, also complaining about the scientific definition of what the Force actually means regarding the midichlorians. And, you know, looking back at it now, that prequel trilogy was not as bad as people were saying, because years after that, we got another trilogy sequel, which kind of like stunk up the room. That's where my problem begins. We start hearing that Lucas was considering selling the property to Disney. I think at the onset, a lot of people were concerned about it, and rightfully so. Some people were excited about it because that was, hey, we're going to get a lot more Star Wars now if Disney's going to buy it, which is true. But at what cost? We learned what that cost was. Boy, let me tell you, that changed my whole perspective on Star Wars. I'm not going to sit here and act like I enjoyed it. It was terrible, in my opinion. The whole sequel trilogy was absolutely terrible. The acting, CGI, the story, everything was horrible. The lightsaber battles were just abysmal. I mean, it's like they didn't do any practicing at all with lightsabers. Everyone was swinging their lightsaber like a baseball bat, and there was no artistic value in it at all. Yeah, I know I sound like a dork looking into it, but Star Wars means a lot to me. And I felt like Disney came in there and pretty much repackaged it for a new generation. But the cost was they tarnished the property itself. Star Wars will never be the same now because of what they did in the sequel trilogy. We were introduced to Kylo Ren, who's Darth Vader's grandson. The whole trilogy should have been about Kylo Ren, and it wasn't. So the first story kind of came out, and it was sort of building up to that. And the next two, they knocked him down several levels and introduced Rey as the main character. Nothing made sense. It was almost as if they wasted 3 entire movies for nothing. it really bothered me. As you can tell, I really did not like the trilogy series. And the fact that they took Darth Vader's grandson, which he should have been an iconic villain like his grandfather, to see him basically being like a whiny brat. What would Vader think to know that his grandson was just a whiny brat? Like, like what would he think? His grand... God. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what that was about. It might have been something I said. But anyway, Kylo Ren was an interesting character. He started out very strong. Yeah, I liked him at first, and then Disney screwed it up. Yeah, that's what happened. Disney screwed it up. They turned him into something he wasn't. It had nothing to do with Vader at all. Anyway, let's focus on Rey now. Good old Rey. Oh man, don't get me started on this. You know, I'm gonna do a deep dive into the sequel trilogy in a later video. I'll keep it tame for now, but the character of Rey was just a lousy character. Her character was completely forced. She did training for like 5 minutes and then became this ultimate Jedi. And I know they had two different directors, J.J. Abrams, and then the second director came in. I won't even say his name. I can't even mention this guy's name. No, I'll skip it. It doesn't exist in my mind anymore. The third movie, JJ came back and tried to save it, but at this point it was too far gone. He tried to bring in a lot of the older elements to kind of reinvigorate the old fan base. Too much damage had been done at that point. And then they made the ultimate move and brought Palpatine back in. In any other circumstance, it would have been epic to see the Emperor come back, but he just got shoved in there to try to appease some of the hardcore fans, and it fell flat. The whole trilogy was horrible. I will never watch it again. The first one, The Force Awakens, was decent. They were basically rehashing the original story, but at least it had potential. The story was going in a direction, but then once that ended, it was done. The other two movies, horrible, horrible, horrible. I will never watch them again. I'm very disappointed in what Disney did there. So now, bring us to the present. Disney owns the property. They've done a couple of TV shows, so which is kind of interesting when you think about it. So the Disney Plus TV shows and primarily The Mandalorian, incredible show, that is single-handedly saving the entire franchise, which just doesn't make sense. They paid, I don't know how many billions they paid for this franchise, and a TV show is saving it. The movies tanked. They destroyed the property pretty much. And The Mandalorian is single-handedly carrying it on its shoulders now, which is insane. You know, the main reason for that has nothing to do with Disney. It has everything to do with the people who were actually working on that one. Basically, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Those two guys should have been handed the keys to the kingdom at the get-go. Kathleen Kennedy should never have been added in there. Don't even get me started on her. That's a whole nother video. I'll do another rant on her, but get her out of here. Filoni and Favreau, they can save the franchise if they're given the opportunity. I know they were a little involved in the Book of Boba Fett, which was okay. It had some flashing moments that were great. Most of those had to do with The Mandalorian, but we'll get back to that later. But it was okay. But again, Mandalorian was fantastic. I'm looking forward to that season 3 coming up. Very interested to see what they do with Baby Yoda, with the whole Luke situation. And then we have another show coming up in a few weeks that could also make or break the franchise. The Obi-Wan series. A lot of expectations for that one. I'm hoping that it's good. I really am hoping. I'm trying to keep my expectations in check though. That's where they get you, is when you expect it to be at this level and they deliver it and it's at that level. That's such a painful feeling. So I'm trying to keep my expectations in check, but I do hope it's a great show. I'll be doing some reactions to that series for sure. I mean, they brought Christensen back as well as Ewan McGregor. That's a good thing. There's a lot of potential there. It'd be good to see those two on screen again in whatever capacity they choose to do. If it's either a flashback or an imaginary story or something. Looking forward to that, but fingers crossed that Obi-Wan is good. A lot is riding on this. If this one fails, this could actually bring it down, the whole house of cards. But I'm looking forward to Obi-Wan, looking forward to Ahsoka as well. That's another show that's coming up. So as long as they keep the right people involved, we should get something at least decent. And it just blows my mind that as a Star Wars fan, we hope to get something decent. That doesn't even sound right. With Star Wars, we should be getting something epic every time. Okay, well, I think I'll stop things here. I could rant and rave about this all night. I'm very passionate about Star Wars, and I'm extremely interested to see where we go from here when it comes to Star Wars. This is big time. We go big or go home in everything. So stay tuned for more content I'll be delivering very soon. In the next few weeks, I'll be doing either live reactions or pre-recorded reactions to the Obi-Wan show. That should be very exciting. Then I'm also going to be releasing some other content as well. So remember, like, comment, subscribe, join me. I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of information with you guys, a lot of positive vibes, and we will definitely have a good time. I hope all of you have a great evening, great day, great week, great weekend, and I'll see you next week.
Big.